Alrighty, folks. One of the things that I love to do on the weekends that I don't normally record with my millionaires is just talk to friends of the channel. And we've got Matt from Mojo Mindset. He said, Mike, I've got some questions for you that I need answers for. And I'm like, well, great. Let's roll. So, Matt, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Yeah, to kick it off, I think a good question to start off with is, if you were an investor starting today, right, 2025, you're into real estate, excuse me, interest rates are, 6, 7%. What do you tell yourself? Where do you start?
I think a lot of investors, like if you have the bug, the itch, you want to be a real estate investor. I think a lot of folks get started and they frankly have the wrong goal, right? I think a lot of folks, and it's natural to say, hey, I want to get one unit. I want to get my first unit. I want to get my next unit this year, right? It's a very standard thing for the beginning of the year. And what I try to get people to understand is I think that's the wrong goal. I really do. Because if that is the goal, I've seen a lot of people break down and frankly do a bad, in best case, average deal. I don't want anybody that follows me or hears my message to ever do a bad deal. And I don't want them to do an average deal. All right, so that's a bunch of fancy words. What does it mean? I believe the goal, whether it's your first or your next property, is only to do great deals. Okay, great. What does that mean? Well, it means work. It means you have to have focus and you have to have daily discipline. Okay, great. What does that mean? Well, the best way to do this, in my opinion, is with something I have termed the buy box. I believe too many investors up front are all over the place, multiple cities, multiple asset types, shiny objects. And, an experienced player like me with 23 years and hundreds of transactions, if I can't do that, what makes you think you can do that? It's just, you're starting with the wrong mindset. So, how do you learn what a great deal is? Well, the fact is you don't. You actually learn what an average deal is. Everybody out there can learn an average deal by following this very simple process. Step 1. Set up a set of criteria that produces an active listing of 20 to 40 properties. Okay, great. How the hell do you do that? Well, I can tell you what my buy box was for the first 3 years of my investing career. I chose a market that I never lived in. I didn't know one. It might as well have been in a different country, except it was drivable. It was 2.5 hours away, Fresno, California. So I didn't know any better. So I chose immediately, my first criteria was single family homes. What does that mean? It means I ignored duplexes, tris, quads, condos, townhomes, apartments, mobile homes, all of that stuff. I ignored them. They might as well not have existed. But still, if I were just to choose single family homes, that's probably thousands of listings, if not certainly hundreds. So I had to go to Fresno in this case, interview 20, 25 people and say, hey, where should I invest? Where should I invest? And ultimately, the most consistent answer was a zip code called 93703, AKA what we call the Mayfair District. Okay, great. Single family homes, 93703. Still 150, 200 listings. And just in case you're clear or not clear, that's more than 20. So I had to go in and I had to keep adding criteria. The first thing I did is I did 3 or 4 bedrooms. What does that mean? That means I don't see 2s and I don't see 5s. Okay, great. Now it's 80 listings. Then I had to pick 2-car garage, 2 baths or more. And that still produced like 55 listings. And ultimately, the last thing I had to put in was square footage. I had to say I want a home between 1,250 and I think 2,000 square feet or something like that. And bingo bango, 37 listings. Okay, so that probably took 25 or 30 minutes to set that criteria. And then, Matt, it's set. That was a saved search, and that's all I hit every day for 3 years. Now, most of you don't have to be as broken as I am and to do it for 3 years, but all of you need to do it for 3 to 6 months. Now, why? Because once you start tracking that finite of a list, you're going to start to recognize what stuff sells for, what stuff, gets price drops, how long stuff comes. and you'll be able to start building your yield spreadsheet, which is what I use, right? How hard is my money working? And after all of that repetition, in 90 days is the shortest I've seen. Some people take 6 months. You'll be able to say, Matt, the average return in my buy box is 3%. Folks, if you're earning 3% on your buy box, keep your money in the money market account, right? You don't do that. That's crazy. But, you know, so if average is 3 in my very simple world, just to help people, a good deal would be 1.5% more. So 4.5%. A great deal would be 1.5% above that, or 6%. So the goal in my world is only to be able to articulate what is an average deal in my buy box. It is not to get a deal. It is to understand what average is. And then the last point I want people to realize is, why do I make you go through this monotonous, boring, repetitive exercise? It's really simple. I believe real estate investing is a skill. And the only way to learn a skill, at least for me, is practice, practice, practice. So that's what I'm giving you. And then the beauty of this skill is once you've done it, you could do it anywhere. So, yeah. So I guess starting today, I would tell people that for most of you, having the deal of getting a deal done or the next deal done is the wrong goal. I think the goal should be, I want to learn what the average return is for my buy box, and then only do great deals. So it's a reprioritization is the big miss, I think.
Awesome. No, I think I love that. And, we talked about, your goal is to kind of articulate and understand kind of what the average deal is. So, in your opinion, in your experience, what makes sort of a good investor, or what separates an average investor from maybe an above average investor?
It's discipline. The process I just outlined is monotonous. It's repetitive, and a lot of folks don't do well under those restrictions. They're more creative. They want to do more. And unfortunately, doing more is the wrong thing until you have the skill, right? You can't learn German and French and Italian at the same time. But if you're only learning one
Yeah.
word of Italian at a time, you get bored very quickly. But if you start adding on these other things, you may feel like you're moving forward in the short term, but it will crumble in the long term. So where I have seen people succeed and fail is in the focus and discipline. Because again, it gets boring. I get it. So what? Do it anyways. But if you get bored after 21 days and you just go, I'm gonna screw it. This guy Zuber doesn't know what he's talking about, and you go, I'm gonna do this and that, and okay, you know, your odds of making a mistake go up. So yeah, that's the big difference. Is some people, and it's really weird, Matt. This this is my superpower. And just crazy thing is, I didn't know it was a superpower since I was a very little kid. My mother would tell you that I could get zoomed in on the most monotonous things, and she had no idea why. I'm just broken. I just told you in the opening, dude. I looked at my buy box, that very restricted buy box, for 3 years. There is no reason in hell I should have been looking at that buy box for 3 years in a row. I had it wired certainly by 6 months. I could have expanded, but I was so freaking bored, laser focused, that it didn't even come to me to expand my search and learn
Sure.
more, because I was missing like 99% of the market by focusing on such a small piece.
Man. So you kind of hit on it too, is the idea of mistakes, right? So, maybe we can kind of share with the audience, obviously, what mistakes you made, and you kind of already alluded to it earlier, having that buy box lasered in, focused for, that 6 months, and, not expanding it, if you will. But what are some maybe other mistakes that you can kind of help the audience prevent from
Yeah,
making and learn from?
yeah. The crypt. So while I'm very happy that I have this unique superpower, which I do understand is unique, and I use it every day. So I'm thankful I have it. There is a kryptonite to it, right? right? There is something that I am super, super weak at, super. It's a super blind spot. It is without question my kryptonite. And that is, I don't ask for help. I don't, in the first year, the first 5 years, I didn't network on purpose, right? A little bit of networking happened by accident, right? As I went and saw properties, I met more people, but it wasn't purposeful. Um, now one of my 7 rules of one rental at a time is to meet two new people a week. And that is because it's my kryptonite. If I don't have that as a goal and focus on it, I won't do it. I think you've got to meet. I think you have to meet 2 new people a week, and you know, some people you'll click with, some you won't. But real estate is a people business. I thought incorrectly that as this laser focused individual, the answer was my spreadsheet. It's not your spreadsheet; it's people. And I mean, I still think about it today. Right, for 5 years, my network after 5 years was probably 75 people, maybe 80, again by accident. If I would have met 2 new people a week for 5 years, that would have been 500 people. And again, it's a people like if you go back and watch my channel in 2018, 19, and 20, we did like 50 deals or 55 deals. More than half of those, probably 60%, came from my network, right? My network was handing me tens of thousands of dollars, right? We flipped
Mm,
55 properties in 18, 19, and 20 before it got crazy. And,
wow,
I
incredible.
made over $1 million just with these flips. And it was most of that was because of my network. Some of it was because I had a buy box and discipline. I did some mailers and stuff like that. But your network is your net worth. I heard that from Jim Ingersoll the first time. I hear it repeated a lot today, but I heard it from Jim the first time, and um, it's just true. You know, I love my superpower, but my kryptonite is purposefully networking with people. And in real estate, that's a huge mistake, a huge miss.
Certainly. Yeah, and when it comes to, that purposefully, networking with people, I think this is a great segue so we can talk about, your Vegas event, right? So this is the second annual. The
Yeah.
first one was a hit out in Vegas. Do you want to share with the audience kind of what's that about and what can maybe new investors expect from an in-person networking event like that?
Yeah, yeah. So the first thing I think I should acknowledge is I had no plans to create an annual event, right? I don't want the work, I don't want the stress, I don't want the headache. They're not profitable, right? Throwing on events are not profitable. They're best break even. I might lose a little money, but we threw the first one because it was a commitment I made to my audience. I think we talked about that first event for almost 3 years, right? It was a 50,000 subscriber celebration, and obviously we hit that number. We threw the event, and at the like, if you were to ask me, like, give me truth serum Saturday morning, anytime before lunchtime on Saturday, which is the day one, I would have told you this would be a one and done. After lunch and watching the audience network and talk to me and the positive energy, I started to feel like, you know what, maybe we'll do another one at 100,000. Right? I'm pushing it off years, and then after dinner, which we go really late on Saturday, I think we go to 8 o'clock on Saturday, and Olivia and I are driving home, and we both are talking, and she's like, "How'd that go?" I'm like, "It went really well." It's like that. She's like, "That was a lot of fun." I mean, Olivia was never on stage, and she's never been on any of my videos, and she's like, I talked to like 50 people, right? They found me, right? They knew who I was, and I'm like,
That's
"Yeah, I
awesome.
think and she's like, "I think we need to do this again." I'm like, "Honey, you remember how stressful it was those last 90 days doing
Yeah.
all this stuff? I'm not sure I want to sign up for that again." But so we get home, and this is the first time it's ever happened to me. I sleep like a baby, right? Olivia's like, I don't even have to turn the lights off. and you're asleep in 5 minutes. I'm like, it's a gift I have, right? I'm out like a light switch, and I can't sleep. And the weirdest, I don't know if you've ever felt this. It's the only time I felt it. I felt like my body was levitating on the bed. I was tingly.
Oh, interesting.
It was like all of this like the only thing I can say call it is like electricity was shooting through my body, and I'm like, shit, 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 shit. I have to do this again next year. So we're doing it next year because it was so much fun. And yeah, it's always going to be President's Day weekend because I like giving people who have W-2 jobs Monday to travel home. Most people have a W-2 or off Monday, so you can stay through the event. It's off strip, so you're not distracted buffets or casinos or alcohol. Again, I take it as an opportunity to give back when I can. We actually rent out the Blind Center, which is for the visually impaired of Clark County, aka Vegas. It supports the visually impaired of Clark County. They actually rent it out on the weekends, and it's a huge facility. I actually pay to rent the entire facility, so there'll be no other groups around us. So I overpay, thus giving a donation to the Blind Center and helping them. It's just I try to be a good person every chance I get. So we rent the entire space so that it's just us. And yeah, we've got we're only going to do 300 people. Originally, I was going to go to 400. I took it down to 300. We've, as of this morning, have 69 tickets left. Only 10 of those are VIP. And yeah, I put out the agenda. We have 12 or 13 amazing speakers. My events are different because it's a celebration, not a sales event. Like last year, we sold absolutely nothing. This year, people last year were mad that I didn't bring books and stuff. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll get some books. You guys want to have books?
I'll bring a couple books. All right.
Yeah, I'll bring a couple of books. Like, okay, I listen to my audience, but nobody's selling anything, including myself. Second, I have always wanted to try this, and I did it last year. Most events like this, and I've been to hundreds and probably thousands if I had my sales career, are death by PowerPoint. Somebody comes on, PowerPoint, 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 they leave. PowerPoint, PowerPoint. No. Most of my presenters don't even use PowerPoint. Some of them will. But everybody's got 50 minutes. They're going to give you 20 minutes of content, maybe 25, and then you can line up with a microphone and ask questions. So that makes my events very different. It's the 50% of the content is audience created, which I think is awesome. So, bring your and the other thing is, if you're on my channel, some of these guys you have probably seen for years. Matt, Mike, Dion, Casey, Brian, Ty, Adrian, all the list goes on, and you're going to get to see them. And then I sprinkle in some new people that you've seen occasionally. So yeah, come meet your heroes, come meet your fans, come ask questions. Yeah, so Vegas. Yeah, dude, I am not committed to year 3. I might do one at 100,000, but we'll see if I have that same levitation this time.
Yeah, almost that out of body experience that you described, huh?
Exactly. It was weird. It's the only thing I could say, and is electricity. Like, you ever get a little zap of electricity? Right? It was just like, and it was a positive feeling. It wasn't painful. It was like, it's. I can still think, I'm like, honey, am I floating off the bed? What the hell is going on?
I think it's pretty fascinating, and super important too, to point out, right? It's you're kind of feeding off the energy of not only audience, but your
that's why I do this.
Your wife.
I don't need the bag. I have the bag. The event will likely lose me money, and I'll be happy to do it. Yeah, I will do it. Yeah.
Awesome. Is kind of speaking of your wife, did she ever hint at like wanting to talk, or I know she's very kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, she's behind the scenes, behind the camera. It's funny you ask. So it's gone in cycles. She has gone from, I want 30 minutes to get on stage and say some stuff. I'm like, cool, done. To, oh my God, I got to do this. Don't want to. To, oh, maybe I'll do 5. We'll find out that day. No guarantees. No guarantees.
To be determined.
I may have to have an audible. If she's like, no, I can't do it. I'm too nervous. We'll
That's
see.
fair. That's fair. At least we're getting the snippets too
Yeah,
of
we're
kind of the behind the scenes living or living Las Vegas.
mhm.
Your kind of vlog series, which I think
Yeah,
is
yeah. The
cool.
buying
Kind of behind the
Vegas.
scenes.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun to it was fun to get her involved, and she had a great time. I think she was the star of the show. She had some comments and whatnot where just showed her intelligence, her humor. Yeah, she's amazing. Olivia's amazing.
Fantastic. So, you know, we talked about, you know, what would you say to investors starting today? What makes a good or average investor? We talked about mistakes, your Vegas event. I think another kind of cool aspect of you know kind of your journey and why you're documenting is those surprises along the way, right? So, can you think of maybe a recent surprise that's happened throughout your journey, especially ever since kind of post COVID, right? I mean, that in itself was really a surprise for the whole world. But you know, what can you attribute a recent surprise was that either you learned a lesson from, a big takeaway, and how you're applying that, you know, moving forward.
Yeah, so I'll give you a couple of surprises. Um, and I'll kind of go through a timeline. So 2018, I have a bad day at the office, no longer employed. It was the happiest day of my life for a couple of days, and then you get depressed, or at least I got depressed because I didn't have a purpose. I had the money, but I didn't have a purpose. And thankfully, um, I decided to write the book one rental at a time. And I thankfully, decide to start a YouTube channel. And, I thankfully decide to produce 1,000 videos without even knowing you could get monetized, right? People think that's crazy, but you can go back and look. And um, it became enough for me to be wildly happy and content, right? I do about 15 hours a week of content. I don't edit. I don't do ads. I don't do any of this stuff. It's just, hit record, stop, upload, I'm out, right? Most people, in fact, 99.9% of content creators think I'm a moron and an idiot. I don't edit, and B, I produce too much. Like in the year 2024, I probably created 15 to 1600 videos, which breaks down to 4 or 5 a day. So as far as YouTube is concerned, I'm doing it wrong. And as far as content creators, which now I rub elbows with occasionally, all tell me I'm wrong, right? I've met Meet Kevin and Graham Stephan and Ryan Pineda and Sean Cannell and Elena Cardone and lots of other folks, and they all tell me I'm doing it wrong. But everybody's missing the point. I'm not doing this for a bag. I'm not doing this to grow a brand. I'm not doing this with some I'm not doing this for a lead funnel. I don't even have a funnel. What the freaking hell is a funnel? Um, so for me, it became my purpose. So that was the first surprise. You like if you're getting up close to retirement, or it's in the next decade, have a plan B. Have a thing that you can roll into. And oh, by the way, if you can, start it now. So it's a much easier transition. I had a couple of dark weeks and maybe dark months where suicide was, seriously thought about, because, if you don't have a North Star and you're driven, it gets dark, man. So that's the first thing. The next thing to think about is, if you're going to do this social media thing, you're going to get hate. And if you're going to be someone who talks about getting rich and wealthy, you're going to get a lot of hate. And if you speak an alternative message to doom and gloom and crash, you're going to get extra hate. And for some of you, that's enough not to do it. I would tell you the block button is there for a reason. I would tell you not to engage with stupidity, not to engage with negativity, because it'll quickly discourage you. So I've becoming remarkably quick at blocking folks. Some of them probably don't deserve it, but if you're going to preach hate to me, you're going to preach hate about one of my speakers, you're going to use bad language, dude, I'm not going to let that in my world. This is the process. Highlight, comment, click this little button, hide user. Click, you're gone. You're you don't exist. So you've got to understand that. Um, and then the last thing I have learned, and it's a sad state of affairs, but in social media or whatever you want to call that I do, you can either chase money or chase impact. If you're going to chase money, I have the secret weapon. All you have to do is preach fear, doom, and crash, and you will get lots of clicks and grow very quickly. You could go look at all the Crash Bros. Their channels are bigger than mine. They go from 160,000 to 600,000. They're all bigger, all growing faster, all printing money. But again, they're doing this to pay their bills. They are porn creators. They just happen their content is doom. But they're nothing more than porn creators feeding your brain negativity because we're human beings. We have a fear response. And it is the thing that you could trigger the most easily. And they have tapped into it. In fact, they're geniuses. They have just taken human biology or human nature, tapped into the fear thing, and they're printing money. However, there have been Crash Bros talking about crashes since 2020 who have I don't even know if it's inadvertently, it might have been on purpose, have damaged people to the point that they will never own a home. And I couldn't live with myself if that had happened. Home prices are up 50% or more. We will likely never have interest rates below 3% again in our lifetime. And you morons caused people to miss out on wealth building. Now, if you chase impact, it's slower. It's much, much slower. Being positive, talking about sacrifice. Oh my God. People don't want to hear that. They don't want to talk about sacrifice, and they don't want to talk
Sounds
about
like it
10
takes
years.
real work.
Yeah, they don't want to talk about a 10-year journey and the first 5 years suck. Don't tell humans that. They don't sign up for that. It's not a sexy message. But I've got 60, some thousand subscribers. We get 15,000 views a day. I've got 10 million listens on a podcast, and just went over 25,000 on Instagram. It'll grow. It just grows slower than expected.
Fantastic. Yeah. You know, I think those two surprises, I'd kind of like to talk about, kind of that social media one. Um, in regards to the hate, maybe some of that negative stuff that you see or stuff that kind of comes on your channel. Why do you think that is, that people's maybe message, right, is to always think that's not possible? Oh, I can't own a home. Oh, I'm in this mentality that it's just not for me. Why do you think? Why do you think that is?
I think there's lots of reasons. If I were to think the number one reason, and again, this is just my opinion off the top of my head. Number one is they haven't seen anybody do it, right? And I got to be honest, right? If I go back to 2002 when we started, I didn't think this was possible, dude. It wasn't even Matt. It wasn't even in the realm of possibilities. My whole goal in the beginning was 4 properties. That was my big dream. 4 properties. That was like that. And I want people to realize thinking of getting to 4 was uncomfortable, was like impossible. Like nobody in my circle had ever done anything like crazy had done that. I think like one person in my family had one accidental, unit because they moved from, like they got married and they turned their condo into a rental or like something like that. Nobody in my sphere of influence had done anything like this. So they probably haven't really seen anybody do it. And, that's one of the reasons number one, that's why I wrote my second book. I was inspired to write 15 conversations with real estate millionaires because I realized there's lots of ways to do it. And if I could give you 15 different stories from 15 different people that did it 15 different ways, that might be your unlock because I can only tell you my way. And my way may not be your way. But you know what? I got a book now with 15 different stories from 10 to 12 pages each with different stories. So I think number one is people live in their bubble. And if nobody in their world has done it, or even worse, dude, nobody's even talked about doing it, you just don't know where to go. So, dude, just thinking about it, I think that's the first thing, and that's why you've got to. I now say you've got to fire your friends. If you want to get six pack abs, or you want to become a real estate millionaire, or you want to be, you want to grow your faith in God, or have the best relationship with your husband or wife, you want to have a great relationship, whatever it is, you got to get around other people doing that thing. Don't do it yourself. Um, that's where I jump to first.
Great. Yeah, and kind of piggybacking off that, firing your friends. It almost appeared like you fired Facebook and went to
Yeah,
another
I did.
social media, I guess, platform, if you will.
Yeah,
Would you like to talk about your school community, which
I will.
obviously I'm a member of as
I
well.
appreciate. I appreciate that. I appreciate the
Well, thank
support.
you.
So for the longest time, I was building a private Facebook group called One Rent. I think it's called One Rental at a Time Works, and it was only for my course members. Right, I have a course. It's kind of like paint by numbers. How do you do this? How do you do that? But I wanted to create an avenue where my students could ask me questions, where they could post their homework, and they could do all these things. And I was in the beginning, well, I guess I was always happy with it, but I didn't know what was going on. So for the last 6 months or so, I was creating and trying to post to the community. Like this is how stupid I am. I assumed as the moderator that when I posted something that was important, that all 2,100 people would see it. And what I came to learn and came to be super disappointed with is only about 10% of my group would see it. And then if they interacted, it might go to 15 or 20, or basically I had no vehicle to communicate with everyone, which basically made Facebook unusable to me, because I'm not someone who's doing a funnel or a pipeline or any of this stuff. But when I have a message, which maybe every 2 weeks, twice a month, I want it's something that's important to me that I want everybody to see, know, or understand. And I can't get that message out, not useful. So I had been searching for a platform. I actually went to a Sean Cannell event, Think Media event, and talked to a guy that was in the VIP section with me. And he introduced the idea of School. Now, I had heard about School because I'm an Alex Hermosi fan. But, dude, last thing I need is another freaking subscription, right? Another payment. However, after we talked, I actually looked at his platform over lunch, and I'm like, I'm peppering him with questions because I'm not making this mistake again. And it's
Right,
like,
right,
no, like as the moderator, right? I want to say something. You write your post, you select your category, and there's this little checkbox that if I check and I'm the only one that could do it, everybody gets it. Everybody gets an email. And I'm like, sold. Because that's the thing I wanted.
problem solved right there.
Yeah, problem solved. I'm in. And then, oh, by
Yeah,
the way, it gives me a calendar, right? Because I do these weekly calls. And I would love the idea of a calendar saying, hey, guys, you like the Lumberjack Landlord. How would you like to come on for our 8 a.m. Wednesday call and ask them questions? Because again, I'm not changing my lifestyle, right? Matt and I talk 8 a.m. Wednesday. So about once a month, we let the audience ask questions. You want to talk to Anna Kelly? Great. 8 a.m. Tuesday. You want to talk to Jonathan Twomley? 7:30 Thursday. These times are all Pacific. But it's even more than that. And then I can actually take education and give it away for free. So inside School, there's this thing called gamification, right? There's these levels, and it just basically means you interact, you post, you leave comments, all of that. And you don't even have to do a lot. But I'm like, this is so cool. I did a 10-week, actually turned out to be 11-week boot camp that I charged $1,000 for. I give it away now at level 3. Ty, TYLG, he did a 6-hour masterclass on creative financing, $500 course. He gives it away at level 2. Jason Pritchard, Mount Rushmore of investors, my personal opinion, did a education on cold calling sellers, running a business, gives it away at level 2. So school is so much more. And then the last thing, this is unfortunate. I assumed everybody knew what school was because I'm anti-technology. And if I know what it is, everybody has to know, right? Wrong. I was talking to Andrew. Andrew is a school member like you. He was interviewed last weekend, and he said he had like 70 or 75 phone calls, messages, all of that. And he's like, Michael, I got to give you some feedback. I don't mean to offend you, but I think you're making a mistake. I'm like, it's okay. Tell me. Hey, I make mistakes all the time. Tell me, right?
Shoot it straight.
Yeah, I don't. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Trust me. And he's like, people think school is school. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, they think you would take attendance. They think you give homework, right? Because you say the word school and people have this like, all this flashback to, oh shit, I thought I left school. No,
Right.
no. So first off, school is spelled with a K. I'm not making any assumptions anymore.
The cool kids, obviously.
Yeah, it's the cool kids. It's SKOOL. They spell like I do. But if you only want to be a fly in the wall and look at the forums, dude, I charge 67 pennies a day. It's like stupid. You're going to get plenty of value just from the forums, not doing anything. I don't take attendance. Yes, we do have 6 accountability groups. We do have ladies of real estate or ladies of ORET. We do have out of state investing. We do have agents and brokers. We do have 3 just basic accountability groups. We're doing lots of great things, but you don't have to go. There's no attendance. You busy? You don't want to go? Don't go. If you want to go just for the forums, you get to level 2, level 3, and get $3, $4, $5,000 in free courses. Go nuts. It's totally okay. So, I inadvertently have been talking about school, but not realizing just saying the word school is triggering to people, and they're like, "Dude, I don't want any part of that." What are you kidding?
Just their hearing turns off
I'm out.
as soon as you
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
it.
So again, school is SKOOL.
Mhm.
Search one rental at a time, 67 cents a day. Go join. You're silly not to.
Fantastic, man. What a great value. I think a lot of people can like you said take advantage of it. And I think the greatest thing is you're going at your own pace, right?
Yep.
You're not trying to get a deal tomorrow, right? You're trying to learn the skills. And I think it kind of loops back our whole conversation, right? We started. What does an investor start to in today? Well, 67 cents a day. Start gaining the skill, identify your buy box, and do it for 3 months, do it for 6 months, do it for a year,
Just
and
commit to yourself. Commit to yourself that you're going to do the boring, focused, daily discipline. Again, as I kind of opened with, the goal of real estate investing is not to get a deal. And lots of gurus out there would shoot me for saying that. The goal should be to get a great deal. And today it's hard. Low inventory, high rates, but that is not an excuse, Matt, to do nothing. That is an excuse to double down. The last thing I kind of want to close on is it is hard today. It's hard every day. I do want to give you one piece of encouragement. As I've said for the last 3 months and still believe, we are in what's called a buyer's market. Buyer's markets don't last long. As buyers, we have the power. As demand continues to pull back because of high rates, everybody listening to this, are going to increasingly find it easy to find motivated sellers. This is the time to write disrespectful offers. This is the time to follow up weekly or every 10 days. This is the time to take your shot. And I've talked about plenty of people over the last several months who've taken their shot, 30%, 25%, crazy credits, crazy this. It's time. Buyers markets are where you get the best deals because there are motivated sellers that have to sell. And you are their saving grace. A seller's market, it is speed and overpaying. That's not what a buyer's market's bring. Trust me, operating in a buyer's market is awesome. It's painful. You got to kiss a lot of frogs. You got to write lots of offers. You got to get here no a lot. So what? Do it again.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's a great way to maybe wrap up our conversation. You talked about that's what you want to finish on. I think I could if I could lead or leave with this, right? We talked about your dreaming big, right? Getting to four. As you were getting to four, right? Didn't you feel like your dreams even changed? So like, is that something that can happen as well?
Yeah, it's funny. Once we got, we actually ended up getting to 8 in about, let's call it 2 years. Um, I have a problem dreaming big. Like there's some people I work with that just have these grand visions. Um, the only thing I can, again, it's the kryptonite to my superpower, is I can only focus on getting the next great deal. Right? I was playing Monopoly one greenhouse at a time. Some people, Jason Pritchard, Ty, Adrian, Coach Carson, they kind of dream in technicolor, right? They see the entire board and they see the red hotels. I I just don't have that gift, man. So all I could do is go, "Oh, we got another one? Great. Let me get the next one." So for me it was just the next deal, the next deal, the next deal. And, you do that long enough and, it gets to be a nice number.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's all the questions that I have. I mean, I think we went through the spectrum of investors, where they're at in their journey, how they're going to do to elevate and get to that next level. So, um, yeah, no,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. I think it
Well,
was a
Matt,
good
do me a
stuff.
favor. Let's remind people who Mojo Mindset is, because you guys are doing some amazing stuff. Give a quick plug on what you're doing, and of course, where can people find you?
For sure. Right. So, yeah, Matt with the Mojo Mindset, my wife, Jess and I, we started this kind of similar to you, right? This social media platform, right? And our purpose really was to share what we learned getting that first house hacking deal, right? So our origin or our background story is we're both active duty military members that met at school. Once we started learning about what do we do with our money, we started house hacking, right? So we did house hack in 2020, 2021, 2022. That got us to 5 units. And right, dream big, get to one was crazy. Now we got to five. And yeah, our plan now is really just to kind of be that, because obviously, you look at a platform like yourself and you're just starting out, you're like, oh my gosh, like this guy's on page 100, I'm on page one, where do I start? Well, we're just on page two, right? We're just one step ahead of you. What did we learn, what did we share? So
Yeah.
that's kind of our purpose. And who knows where it goes. I think both of us are still focused on our careers, and
Yep.
we're intrapreneurs, right? We're not starting this new software technology, right? We're just focusing on our careers, using and leveraging our real estate to continue giving us options. And, we'll stick with it 5 to 10 years, and we'll see where
Yeah.
we're at
You,
that point.
if I, dude, if I had to do it, like if Olivia and I could go back, I would have started a YouTube channel. With I would have started a YouTube channel with North Strive. Can you imagine what the story would have been if I had video of that? Hey guys, we got the deal. We're so excited. Yada yada
Yeah.
yada. And then the next time you see us, we're in the dump that got destroyed by the drunk asshole. God, could you imagine what that content would look like? And oh, by the way, I was 31, not 52. Dude, I would love to go get that content. Doesn't exist though. Damn it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's another aspect too. Is like I think wouldn't it been cool to see like our parents like journey as they're going, right? So like for our kids that hopefully we'll have here, like it'll give them something to
Yeah.
reflect on
It's a
more than
time
just
capsule.
just photos. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a time capsule. And dude, you're doing it the right way. You're in a career where you have you put in your 20, you have a pension, but you'll have something to roll into. So you're doing it the right way. You're being consistent. The message is positive. You're not chasing clicks. I would just encourage you to keep going. You will find your tribe. You will be making an impact. Just keep going.
Beautiful. Thank you, Zuber, for the time as always, and hopefully this message
Yeah.
changes somebody's lives.
There you go. Go check them out. Mojo Mindset. Mojo Mindset. Matt, thank you very much.
Thank you, Zebra.